Hey guys, what is going on? I do hope you all are doing well today. Elliot here. Welcome back to The Fragrance Well. So I don't know about you guys, but one of the best things I enjoy about fragrances, or should I say one of the best things that is available with being a fragrance collector is it's kind of like music where it doesn't really matter when you first hear it. If it gives you joy, it can be something that was released 50 years ago and you can have the same joyous reaction as people did 50 years ago when it was originally released. Great thing about fragrances is they are the same way. Now obviously there are some fragrances, there are going to be many fragrances that you just won't be able to get your hands on because they're just not available anymore, but I would say the overwhelming majority of stuff that is available to enjoy is available to all of us, and you can get that same joyous reaction out of them no matter when you get your nose on it. It doesn't have to be when it is first released. People will argue about reformulations and all that stuff. I don't think that really matters. If you're not able to get your nose on an original formulation, it shouldn't matter if you get your nose on a new one and you enjoy what you smell. So basically what I'm talking about today is I got 8 fragrances here that are all fragrance releases that are at least older than 2 years ago. In other words, they were all released and had been out long before I even started a fragrance collection, before I even started to have an interest in fragrances the way I do today. And you know what? I get joy out of them as I imagine people did when they were first released. So that's what I'm talking about today. And you know what? Most fragrance collectors are gonna be like this because there's always gonna be something that was out before you were even born. So there's no real rhyme or reason to what I selected for today's list other than the fact that they were released well before I started collecting and I had a great reaction to them the moment I got my nose on it, whenever it was. So again, like I said, I got 8 of them, so let's go ahead and get started. But before we do, as always, please remember to like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and please hit that bell icon, enable notifications so you can be notified when I upload new videos. Let's get into it. All right, guys, let's kick it off with one from Rosendo Mateu, and this is number 5. Rosendo Mateu, number 5, Floral Amber Sensual Musk. I don't know if that's officially in the full name, but I guess it kind of is. But anyway, this fragrance was originally released in 2017, and I first got my nose on it earlier this year, and I bought it, I think, like a month ago. It wasn't that long ago. I just went on ahead and added it. But yeah, this fragrance, soft, pillowy, fluffy musk, very warm and inviting. Also has some light leathery or more like suede like characteristics to it. Does have this very clean white floral nature to the fragrance. It is a very inviting scent. It's a very sexy scent. It is completely unisex. Men and women can rock this and I think kind of get the same reaction from the opposite sex if that's what they're looking for. It's the most popular one from the house and I think it is well deserved. I've smelled a couple of other ones from the house, but not all of them. But I do know this one kind of stuck out to me when I first got my nose on it because I instantly recognized why it would be considered one of the favorites from the house. But the great thing about this scent, and like I said, the whole subject matter and fragrances in general, is even if you're new to this scent today, it can have that same effect. And frankly, I think you can still get very good wearings out of this, if you know, depending on what you're looking for from the fragrance. So once again, from Rosendo Mateu, this is number 5. All right, next one is coming from Cartier, and this is going to be Declaration d'un Soir. Declaration d'un Soir from Cartier. Now, this one was originally released, what does it say, 2012. So this one's been out for a very long time. I first got my nose on this actually when I first started collecting because it was still on your basic store counters, if you will, at your normal department stores at that time. Unfortunately now, department stores don't really carry it anymore, so it's a little bit harder to find here in the States, but you can get it if you really, really want it. So I got my nose on this one a long time ago. Can I smell it? No, I can't smell it from the atomizer. I'm gonna go ahead and spray it. But this is a spicy rose fragrance. Oh yeah. More of a lemony green kind of rose. There is some, like I said, spice. It's kind of cumin centered. There's some like dried woods in this. There might be some patchouli as well. Very classy scent, as you would expect from Cartier. That's kind of what they put out, in my opinion. They really focus on the gentlemanly style of fragrances, at least with their men's fragrances. I actually haven't smelled too much stuff from their women's line, but that's neither here nor there. But yeah, this fragrance here brings me a lot of joy. I actually did get this year, actually at a duty-free store at one of the U.S. territories in the Caribbean. It's really a shame. I should have kind of made this one a priority when I first got my nose on it. I really enjoyed what this was, and it was still widely available at that time, but at this current time, it's not quite as available, but you still can get it. But I really do enjoy this. If you like rose fragrances with a spicy edge to them, this is one worth checking out if you can. I don't know if you can get a decant of it or a sample of it, but if you know the scent profile and maybe you just never jumped on it, I would say go ahead and do it. It is really good stuff from the House of Cartier. So once again, this is Declaration d'un Soir. All right, moving on. Next one's coming from Creed, and this is Aventus. Creed Aventus. Now, those who are in the community for, let's just call it 3 months, know that Aventus is something that, you know, can be seen as kind of played out. It's been cloned to death. It's been inspired by to death, and I can understand that standpoint. But for me, I didn't know nothing about Aventus until I started collecting, or more specifically, until I started consuming fragrance content on YouTube. I otherwise did not know anything about Aventus or the House of Creed for that matter. So when I first got my nose on this, it was a completely new experience for me, and I definitely saw why people talk about it so much. I'm like, that smells amazing. I certainly haven't smelled anything like that. And I still from time to time in the stores like Bloomingdale's and Neiman Marcus see people's first time reactions to this scent, and these are people that are much older than me. They smell this for the first time, I see their reactions to it. So this fragrance still has that effect on people even to this day. So we may be tired of it, but we can't discount that. Just in case you haven't smelled this by now, it's a pineapple scent that is fresh, really nice bergamot in this. It's smoky, it's woody. Many will talk about previous batches that came before this that could be more fruity or less fruity, more smoky, whatever. You know what, these days that's really not something you have to worry about. And I would say if you never got your nose on that, don't worry about it today, you know, because you would have to be really immersed into those Creed groups on Facebook where they, you know, kind of trade and sell these things to really experience that, or run into someone who has the older batches and you can experience them. If that's not something you're willing to do, don't worry about it. The newer ones will definitely give you what you want if you like this scent DNA. And there's a possibility that some people don't, but most people do. It's just a scent DNA that pleases a lot of people, guys in particular, in terms of what they want to wear, and many women do like this smell too. Don't think that it's just a guy magnet that it's been given that name before, but I'm gonna tell you right now, that's just not true. Once again, coming from Creed, this is Aventus. All right, moving on, let's talk about one I literally just picked up a week ago from Naomi Goodsir. This is Cuir Velours. Naomi Goodsir Cuir Velours. Now, in terms of Fragcom, I actually don't know if this is a scent that ever kind of had its moment in it. I know I had seen this one in particular somewhere. I can't remember if it was in a video or if it was in an Instagram post, but I do remember whoever talked about it. It did sound interesting. I said, well, if I ever get the chance, I'll get my nose on it. I was in Chicago this past weekend and there was a store there that had it. Got my nose on it. Was kind of battling between some other stuff in terms of what I wanted to pick up, but I ultimately settled on this. This was originally released in 2012, so over 10 years later, similar to, you know, Aventus and I think a couple of these fragrances that I've talked about, way late from the original release date, and I got my nose on it now and I had a great reaction to it. So it doesn't matter that it's an older release, it's still a great scent. This one here, you could classify it as a boozy leather fragrance, really rich leather, not really animalic, but it is rich. It's not like a light leather or anything like that. I don't find it to be too suede-y, if you will. Mixing with resins, ambery notes, not really too woody. I can't remember if there's any wood notes listed in this, but it's a very rich fragrance with an opulence to it. I really love the way this stuff smells. It's a very classy leather fragrance, perfect for the upcoming autumn season. And yeah, all I know is this one definitely captivated me and still does. Matter of fact, this is going to be my scent of the evening later on today. And I imagine there may be some older people who have been collecting for much longer than me that probably know a little bit more about this fragrance or have had their time with it. Let me know down in the comments below if that is the case. If not, if you're into boozy, leathery fragrances, this might be one worth checking out. Still one you can find today. So once again, from Naomi Goodsir, this is Cuir Velours. All right, next one is coming from Xerjoff. This is gonna be Alexandria II. Xerjoff, Alexandria II. Now this one, kind of similar to Aventus. I think this is one that, you know, is very popular from the house, and as long as it is available from the company. People are gonna have new experiences to it as more and more people come into FragCom or just become fragrance collectors in general, and hear about the House of Xerjoff at least. So this was originally released in 2012. I honestly can't remember which year I first got my nose on this, but I think it was the year I started collecting, which was 2021. Anyway, this is one of my favorite fragrances in my collection. It has, it's a scent profile that I always just kind of explain as one that just makes me happy. I don't know why, it just does. It's just pleasant in that way. You got the lavender, apple, and cinnamon. Not quite apple pie-like notes, although those are notes that's typically associated with that. But, it has those characteristics to it, so it's a little bit spicy, has a fresh element to it. It has luxurious woods. There's a couple varieties of oud in here, some dry woods as well. There's ambery notes, a little bit of sweetness. There's probably some vanilla or something like that. I just love this scent profile. I think they made an anniversary edition to it. So any fragrance that gets an anniversary edition, usually 10 years, it's something that, did well for the company. This certainly brought me joy the first time I got my nose on it. And I know there's gonna be people way after me that get that same type of joy when they first get their nose on a scent like this. Once again, from Xerjoff, this is Alexandria II. All right, let's move on to one from Issey Miyake. It's gonna be L'Eau d'Issey pour Homme, Noir Ambre. Issey Miyake, L'Eau d'Issey pour Homme, Noir Ambre. Now, I do need to apologize. This is a fragrance that is going to be hard to find as far as I know. I think it was late 2021, like Fragrance Buy had gotten a massive stock on it. A lot of influencers started talking about this scent and how awesome it was, and people bought it up. I was definitely one of those people, and I was happy that I was, because this stuff is awesome. It was definitely worth the risk with the blind buy. This was originally released in, let's see, it says 2016. So many people obviously got their nose on this well after the release date, because if you didn't know about it or didn't get your hands on it before that, most people, at least here in the States, couldn't, I guess, because it was very hard to find. I don't know if it's discontinued. I don't know if you can find it in other parts of the world. If anybody does know, feel free to share that in the comments below. Well, what is this, first of all? Obviously, it's an amber fragrance, as the name would imply. It's got spice and leathery notes by way of saffron. It's very luxurious, but also very oriental smelling. Good amount of vanillic sweetness in here. Really warm, spicy, ambery fragrance. There's a good amount of cinnamon-like notes in this as well. It's an awesome smelling fragrance, man. And if you get a chance to get your nose on it, I would say definitely check it out if you are a fan of the type of notes that I just listed here. But this fragrance certainly brought me a lot of joy. I need to pull this back into rotation when it cools off a little bit here. I've just been giving attention to the warmer weather fragrances I've added this year, but this one here, it's definitely one I don't want to forget about. But with so many fragrances, it can happen. But all I know is, when I first got my nose on this, it was definitely a successful blind buy, as I would call it. And if it happens to come back into stock on discounters here in the States, I think it's going to bring more people that same joy that I got when I got mine. So once again, from Issey Miyake, we've got L'Eau d'Issey pour Homme, Noir Ambre. All right, next one's coming from the house of Tom Ford, and it's gonna be Oud Wood. Tom Ford Oud Wood. Now, if you've been watching my channel, you already know that I've told the story of how this fragrance was an acquisition before I decided to start a collection. It was just me deciding to buy higher end fragrances, but I hadn't decided to do any collecting yet. But this fragrance was originally released in 2007. Now, I don't know how popular it was then. We know how popular it is now. So this is this the oldest? Yeah, out of this list, this is the oldest fragrance I have in terms of release date. So I bought this in, might have been 2020, maybe 2021, but it was around that time frame. But yeah, this fragrance certainly blew my mind at the time, because this was the fragrance that ultimately showed me the higher end world of perfumery. It was this one and a couple others from the house of Tom Ford, because I smelled a few and I was actually deciding between this one and Tuscan Leather, and I ultimately decided to go with this one. I still need to add Tuscan Leather, by the way. But yeah, anyway, you guys know it well, I imagine. Spices, a very wearable form of oud, or I guess we're calling it westernized oud at this point. So it's woody, it's spicy, it's warm, it's ambery, it's got a little bit of sweetness in there. Great night out scent, great evening scent. Many complain about the performance, I get it, but you know, they do have the new Oud Wood parfum. I do think just the richer concentration will give you a little bit more performance if you care about that. And I imagine anybody new to the community that hears about the hype of Oud Wood and gets their nose on it and likes it, they might complain about the price, which is fair, but I think they would definitely get joy from the scent profile. And you know, honestly, they'd be happy to hear, like, you know, you've got plenty of varieties of this kind of scent DNA out there that don't necessarily cost as much, and they can still get that same joy from it. So once again, from Tom Ford, this is Oud Wood. All right, and last but not least, coming from Dior, this is gonna be Dior Homme Intense. Dior Homme Intense. Is this still the most popular fragrance on like Fragrantica? I use Parfumo, so I don't really go on Fragrantica that often, but I think this is one of their most, like, over the lifetime of the website, most popular scents. And you know, obviously you get into the community, you're gonna hear about the popularity of Dior Homme Intense, and most people are gonna at least check it out. You kind of find out if you like Iris fragrances with this one, because it's from the line that I guess popularized Iris fragrances in terms of, you know, dedicating entire lines DNA around Iris. And I still think, you know, Dior did it the best compared to all the copycats afterwards, even though there are some good stuff there. But this was originally released in 2011. I didn't get my nose on it until I think I got this in 2021 or 2022. So obviously way later than the original date. Most people are the same way. Most people that are, you know, new to collecting fragrances obviously were not smelling this stuff then if you weren't already into it. And I think, you know, you'll get the same joy that I got from it if you're a fan of Iris fragrances, which I certainly am. This is a very rich and makeup-y Iris fragrance. It's relative, to me, it's the sweetest iteration of the Dior Homme style Iris. Now, I haven't got my nose on O, so I don't know how that one is compared to these. I haven't bought that one or found it or anything like that. But yeah, this one, that's pretty much how I like to describe it. It's less of the leatheriness that you might find in the original and the Parfum, and more about the sweetness. And I think, there's some patchouli in this. Yeah, I think there's some patchouli-like notes, a little bit chocolatey as well. Not full-blown chocolatey, but it kind of has that characteristic as a base. But yeah, Dior Homme Intense, we know, brings people a lot of joy, those who are a fan of that Dior Homme Iris. And this is also the most easily, this is the one you can get the easiest. This one's pretty much regularly available on discounted websites. Homme Original, good luck. Parfum is now regularly available, but it's overpriced. Let's just call it what it is. So if you're willing to spend that money, go for it. Anyway, once again, from Dior, this is Dior Homme Intense. All right, guys, that is gonna do it for this video. Let me know down in the comments below, what are some fragrances you got your nose on that came well after the original release date, and you don't care how old the fragrance is, you wanted to just tell everybody how awesome that stuff is. I'll be looking forward to seeing what you guys have to say. Thanks again for watching all the way into the end. I really do appreciate you guys. Please remember to be well and smell well. And I'll see you in the next episode of The Fragrance Well. Have a good one.